Good day, class. Last time we talked about non-digital tools for instruction or non-digital instructional materials. This time I'm going to share to you must-have digital technologies for 21st century instruction. This comes from the research of Lawrence A. Tomei from the Robert Morris University in United States of America. And we know that technologies evolve, technologies adapt to changes, and we could study or learn about these contemporary technologies that we can consider in preparing and delivering our classroom instruction. So there are many broad applications of this in teaching and in the curriculum. So what's important is that we know what its use is, some advantages and disadvantages. So I'll discuss to you some primary features of each tool, and you can learn or know about the impact of this in teaching and learning once you apply this in your very own classroom. Before this pandemic happened, we usually make use of digital technology and non-digital technology. And it adds flavor, it adds entertainment, and it adds spice to our classroom discussion. But now we've realized that technology has moved from a nice to have to a must have component of teaching and learning, especially digital technology. So let's discover and find out these 10 digital instructional materials in the 21st century. The first one is number 1, lecture capture applications. This is a generic term for a type of software, system capabilities, or hardware options hosted on personal devices such as smartphones or laptop computers that allow the teachers or instructors to record audio interactions or video interactions in the classroom and make it available digitally to students, most often outside of the classroom. There are many lecture capture applications, but what we are familiar with is the Zoom and the Google Meet because its recording features. It can capture the presentation or the instruction. Lecture capture applications or a good lecture capture system enables instructors to keep track of how students interact with the content presented. So you will know the entire flow of the lesson from the beginning to end once you have captured it. And some softwares could also record cursor movement, keyboard inputs, and other on-screen activity as well as audio. But of course, it's not intended to replace in-class instructor or instruction, but it has benefits. It can provide an alternative classroom to those who have missed the class, and it can also offer opportunities for content review. Let's say you miss some because of your signal, then you can go back to the lesson, and it provides additional content for online and blended courses. And additional advantages of this is it's ideal for distance education because it provides flexibility to share in captured lectures without regarding to location or time. It offers students more control over their own learning. So that's some of the advantages of captured lectures outside the classroom. And of course, it has some disadvantages. Some disadvantages I could see here is that sometimes this software consumes a lot of memory that our personal device or computer could log and not be able to record the entire class, or there will be some errors or concerns about the presentation or recording. But so far, those are just some of the disadvantages I could see in this type of tool. In your task, you can mention some of the disadvantages that you could think of in using lecture capture applications. Another is, I think, some students who have missed the class would consider not attending the class because Anyway, there's a recorded lecture. So those are some of the things that you can consider in making use of lecture capture applications. I think the importance or the thing that you should note is when should you give the recorded lecture to your students. It would matter a lot. I guess this is one of the most commonly used nowadays as a digital instruction or digital tool in teaching and learning. Social networking or social media, that's number two. Why? Because these is a very common site for network individuals and sharing. So this is what we use to connect and form digital relationships with our students. So just like your teacher, I haven't met some of you personally, but we have this connection through digital tools like social networking or social media sites. And we make use of this because it has increasingly sophisticated softwares. We can record audio, send pictures, videos, and also share contents with our students. Just a little trivia class. Do you know that research has shown that most social networking interactions involve insignificant chats, 40.5%, general conversation, 37.5%, self-promotion, 6%, and other types of interaction includes news, spam, and important content information. So I hope that with this digital tool, our insignificant chats would be turned into a learning and enjoyable form of communication. So I hope that's what would grow in percentage now that we are using it as a form of classroom instruction. So advantages of this is that it could foster collaboration and discussion, create meaningful dialogue, exchange ideas, and it could also boost student interaction since we like to use social media. And social media remains an avenue for students to easily contact one another even without load. However, social media can also be very distracting in the classroom. So it's important for instructor to divert students' attention away from the social media posts so that your learning will not be disrupted. Okay? So it could be both used as a weapon against things that could distract you or insignificant things that could distract you, or it could actually distract you. And sometimes students make use of social media sites to post or become a weapon against their teachers or a weapon of malicious behavior. So let's be careful. And sometimes it could take a lot of time when you browse and just use it. It could be time consuming to watch different contents online. And sometimes you have to go back to post or back read sometimes. And it may take a while too. So those are some of the disadvantages. The third one is called gamification. So, who among you likes to play? So, we have many students who like to play online games, so we can make use of gamification. Gamification is defined as the application of typical elements of game playing in order to engage users in problem solving, according to Oxford University. And some of those elements include establishing rules of play using a point scoring rubric and fostering a sense of competition with other students or players. And it could be used to engage students or motivate students. So the goal of gamification in the field of education is to get students involved, engaged, and excited about learning. So here are some selected features that can help gamified approach to teaching and learning successful, and it includes the following. Number one, a successful game is enhanced by simulation, assessment, and the presentation of new knowledge in a real-world virtual environment. Next, storytelling. So stories for context and emotional engagement is still important and can be used in games. Next, it should have a game mechanics. Next, immediate feedback. strong learning curves with attention to achievement, and scoring to create a sense of competition. So these are the elements that must be included to make teaching and learning a success. All right, so here are some advantages of using gamification. Of course, it can motivate students to engage in the classroom. It's a good tool to guide and reward students and encourage students to immerse themselves in the pursuit of learning because it's fun. But the disadvantage is that gamification may take a lot of time in preparation and in doing it. So sometimes students get distracted by external rewards, and then when you go to the discussion part, then they will get a little, less motivated, and they just like to go to the game itself. So those are some of the disadvantages. Next is learning or mobile learning. So we are so familiar with mobile devices because we often use it to our online classes. We have mobile computers, of course, our smartphones and other media players. So mobile technologies is a very good tool for communication, networking, and also even for instruction and learning. So now we are so familiar with this, and mobile learning is what we really do now. Mobile learning devices has become the lifeblood of the classroom nowadays because our learning takes place in our mobile devices, and even our learning activities can be accessed and be done in our mobile devices. And the keyword there is it could be carried anywhere. We can do it at home, outside, and in other places outside the classroom. And it has, of course, extended, or fostered peer to peer and student teacher collaboration, learning engagement, flexibility, higher engagement rates. For those students who could not interact orally before, they could type or chat their response or recitation. So the key is flexibility. It's not limited to place or time, and also flexible ways to deliver instruction and to do learning activities and to know or determine your students' learning. So of course, it has some the disadvantage is that sometimes connectivity is the problem. So all mobile devices are prone to some degree of connectivity problems, which you also encounter and which all teachers and students encounter nowadays, particularly when uploading and downloading data. And of course, the small screen size limits its suitability for reading and for other learning activities because the display of text and even the typing of text could sometimes be hard in some of our mobile devices. And of course, the cost of buying a mobile device and the monthly data charges, those are costly or mahal sometimes. Next, we have digital books or ebooks. So, ebooks is now on the rise as an important tool for teaching and learning. Instead of buying printed ones, students are now given ebooks, sometimes also in PDF form. We can give our books in Word form, but we also have digital ebooks. Now, last year, I believe during this pandemic time, a lot of teachers were trained to do ebooks. And ebooks are have features similar to a book, but now in the digital form, it can be embedded with video, with audio, and other features which are suitable for visually impaired readers and others. Now, of course, it has advantages because it's like a library in your pocket. You can bring it anywhere, read it anywhere. However, if you would buy ebooks, it could sometimes also be costly. So that's one of the disadvantage. And sometimes some professors have this idea that there's a difference between a printed and then an ebook when it comes to the learning experience of a student. And of course, eye strain. It could cause eye strain than reading an actual book. Another is not all mobile device or laptop can be compatible with the ebook reader or the software used for the ebook. So that's some of the disadvantages. Next, number 6, digital video. So I think this generation loves to watch video, and it has been on our social media sites. Anywhere we go, we often watch digital videos. So, in teaching and learning, we can make use of digital video like this one in order to deliver instruction to our students. And just like lecture capture application, students can go back and review the video you have prepared. And digital video could be an excellent medium for developing both pedagogical and technological content knowledge in a wide range of academic disciplines and at multiple educational levels. So, even for elementary, high school, and college, you can make use of digital videos. So, you can do it at your own pace, and you can combine and arrange multiple video contents and sources. Now, for the advantages, digital video benefits both styles of learning. So, students' learning style, audio visual, is actually benefited, and it increases student motivation to learn and support practice and improves communication skills. Again, there's also a disadvantage. So, from a practical perspective, digital video requires gadgets or computers and other softwares, and it may take some time to, deliver a high quality video. But of course, now we have free softwares, video editors, and digital video makers that allows teachers to develop their lesson, even if it's in their phone or personal laptops. And it also requires computer skills when you're making a digital video, but it's not actually a very hard problem for students and teachers nowadays, because we have discovered and find ways to make digital videos. Next, we have the student response system, or SRS. It's another teaching technology that can be used to present a question or problem to the class, facilitate response from students using personal mobile device. And we have here the Google Classroom and other apps that you can make a test and wait for the students' response. And there are many other Word or Microsoft or Windows or Microsoft Office files, which we can use for this one. Like, we can generate or prepare questions from PowerPoint, Word, PDF, and others, and then upload it in a software wherein we can deliver that to our students. Now, of course, it's advantages because we can, of course, create a way for students to deliver their answers in a very fast way, like it's one click or type away, and students can engage or be engaged, and we could also get their non-verbal or verbal response. Next is, of course, it has disadvantages. So the setting up time may also take a while, and it also takes a lot of preparation to do for teachers to transfer their tests, questions, or other activities to this SRS systems. Next is podcasting. Now we have softwares and other apps like Spotify and other podcast makers. We can record our lesson, and the students will just listen to it through our podcast. So there are still learners who love to listen to their teacher's voice, and sometimes digital video could really be give you an eye strain, and you can't do anything if you would just stay there and watch a video. But podcasts can allow you to move. That's why radio is still one of the modalities in teaching and learning, because it allows the students to just listen to the lesson. So it has advantages because it allows mobility, it allows flexibility, and also it can create connection, by just listening to to your teacher or to your students. But of course, the disadvantages, it could also be noisy in a particular place, and it may take a lot of revision because of the noise around you, and teachers find it hard to record or produce good quality podcasts because of those reasons. Next, we have simulation technology, wherein models and other laboratories could be done by students, laboratory activities. And simulation is the act of imitating the behavior of a physical or abstract system, such as an event, situation, or process that does or could exist. And simulation technology could also be combined with gamification. And it's not new to teaching because for very costly and lengthy or dangerous tasks, sometimes teachers would just replace it with simulation activity instead of actual activities. And you can make use of hardwares and softwares for simulation activities. But fortunately, this could be provided by the school because some technology could be expensive, and some free technologies or simulation technologies could have a lot of limitations or limited access. So the advantages of this are: simulation technology actually kindle active engagement of students and helps them explore decision making and outcomes, and it generates much more energy among students than traditional lecture or case discussion. But simulation technologies can also have disadvantages, and sometimes when you conduct learning in artificial situations, that may reduce the effectiveness of learning. And no emphasis is given on teaching skills or content. The focus is on behavior. So, simulation requires supervision by teachers who may not be available, may not be qualified, or may not be interested in exploring a topic to the depth required. For example, science laboratories or engineering or architectural simulation technologies. So those really could help, or you know it could help students at least practice, but it's not at all times effective because it's in an artificial situation. Last but not the least, 3D printing and apps. So, this is one of the latest in a long line of tools to help students visualize and then solve real world problems. So, 3D printing allows for immediate customization, providing teachers with three-dimensional visual aids that can illustrate hard to grasp concepts. But this is not yet so available to us here in the Philippines, but in other countries, they make use of 3D printing and softwares. So let's say for a chemistry class, a combination of chemical elements. So they make use of 3D printing of these models to allow or to make chemistry and biology students appreciate 3D models of molecules, cells, organs. But the disadvantages of this is that, of course, it's expensive, and concerns about digital technology and intellectually it must be addressed. And of course, there are some software issues that may also hamper or may, produce technical issues. So, aside from it's costly. So, those are some of the disadvantages. So, are you ready to use these must have technologies for 21st century instruction? Lecture capture apps, 3D printing and apps, social networking, gamification, mobile learning or mobile devices, simulation technology, ebooks, video and video conferencing, student response systems, and podcasting to your digital instruction? Well, you must get ready and you must learn all of these in order to make your teaching and learning instruction rich and relatable to your students. But let us not forget that although technology occupies an important place for learners of all ages, when they are not in school, nearly everything students do is connected in some way to technology. By integrating technology, teachers change how the very nature of today's classroom is providing their students with the tools that will make them 21st century citizens. So it is still in the hands of the teachers to make use of these digital tools to provide quality instruction to your students and to equip them for the next generation citizens as well. So let us discover, learn, adjust, and also carefully and wisely use all this technology for one purpose, and that is to deliver instruction to our students to equip them.